Hey, it's Chris Chico, and in this video, I'm going to share with you a case study of how we made $6,000 using our nationwide wholesaling model with a tiny house in the middle of nowhere. We didn't even know that this town existed in where the house is located until the lead came in. And we did this entire transaction without meeting the buyer, without meeting the seller, without having any pictures of the property, literally knowing nothing at all, and yet we made some money on that deal. And in this video, I'm gonna walk you through, right on my computer screen, step by step, exactly how it all went down, so then that way you could do the same. So the property is located, was located, I say was because we sold and closed on it already, 197 Lacey Road in Wingham, Georgia. Now, up until the lead came in, I never knew that there was a town called Wingham, Georgia. And so this is where it's at. So it's just north of the Florida border near Tallahassee. That's the biggest area in Tallahassee. And then this is where the property is located. So I'm going to walk you through specifically where we found the buyers and how we analyzed this property. Now, when the lead came in, this is what the owner told us about the property. That it was vacant, fair condition, needed work. They wanted to sell in 30 days. The best time to call the evening. And they were asking $48,000 for the property. Now, when we look at this deal here on Zillow, the Zen estimate showed up as $158,000. I think that's still inaccurate. It's a pretty big house. The challenge is that where it's located, you know, there's not that much activity. So whenever you're looking at Zillow and you see that a particular value, that value is accurate relative to the amount of transactions that are occurring in that particular area. So the more transactions you have occurring, then the higher likelihood is that that number is going to be accurate. So when we look at this, the first thing that we do when we look at a property like this is we want to know if there's activity in that area. So if I take the property here and then I just look at the particular town, I'm going to remove the boundary here just to see. I want to see what is active for sale in the area. Now here right now there's only one house for sale. I'm not sure how many houses there were for sale at the time that when we looked at property initially, but not a whole lot going on. However, when I zoom out, I notice that there's two towns that are nearby. One is called Bainbridge and another one is called Cairo. So when we look at a property and we see that, you know, it's in a tiny little town, not much going on, we want to see what the distance is to the other areas. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do directions and I'm going to do Cairo. And that is going to tell me how far away that is, which is 10 minutes, which is great. So we want something no more than 30 minutes, preferably within 15 minutes. And then we also saw that there was another town here called Bainbridge. So I'm going to also see about Bainbridge, Georgia, and that one there is 22 minutes. So relatively close. So this is a plus for the property, meaning that although there isn't that much going on here in terms of actives, there's towns that are nearby that do have activity. And then what we do is we look at the solds, and because of the fact that it's a relatively small town, then I'm going to look at the solds over, say, 6 months or maybe 12. Here in this scenario, I'll go and look at 12 months. And I see that there's activity. There is activity. If we didn't see anything sold over the last 12 months, that would be a problem. But again, if we zoom out, we can see there's activity in Cairo. If we adjust this to 6 months, just because there's more activity there, we see that there's activity there and activity here. The reason that's important is because when we're dealing in a small area, we have to know where are these buyers going to come from. So we can argue that, hey, somebody could live in Cairo, or actually somebody could work in Cairo, but they want to buy a house, but maybe they can't afford it in Cairo, or maybe they want something outside of the major metro. So they would buy in a town like Wingham in an effort to just be outside the area or buy something more affordable. So this is a plus for the property. Now, in addition to that, what we do is we look at buyers. We want to know what cash buyers are. So we use for cash buyers a tool called Propelio. I'm going to include the link in the description. If you use my link, you get a 14-day trial. So I will go ahead and look up that property, right? So we just look it up. Let me just go back to the home page here. If I take it, I look up that property. So what we're going to do then is we're going to take each of these and research them in an effort to try to find the buyers. and you're just going to go ahead and Google them. You know, right here we found on Facebook. Here we found the Georgia Company Registry. Here's let's see here. Let's see what else we got here. We can also look on a website called Open Corporates as an example. And then I can search for a corporation there. So I'm going to copy that and see what shows up. That's interesting. This is a Michigan one. That's the same as this. But here is HQ Property Management. So I kind of noticed that H and Q. So maybe I'll modify it just slightly. HQ Property Management. So a bunch of them show up. Here's a one in Georgia. And then you start to just do some investigative work. And then you'll just do everything you can in order to reach out to them. So here it goes right there. So then if that was a buyer, I would then figure out who they were and get the phone number and then call them up and just basically say, hey, we have a property. It looks like we bought some properties in this area. We have a one that we think it's a good deal. And we have just that conversation. So that's in essence what we did. So I'm not saying that this is the buyer. It isn't the buyer. But this is what we did in order to find the buyer. Now, we did not have any pictures of this property at all. Because if we look at, let me just Google the location here again. Google Street View does not have anything. If I take the little man here and just move him around right here, let's see here. We can probably get a view of there, but it's pretty old. So they haven't been there in a while. But it's a pretty good looking house. And so that's how we found the buyer. And we thought that, hey, based on the number here that we see from Zillow at 158, they wanted 48. We were able to get it negotiated to a price of 40,000, and 40,000 we sold it for 46. So that person got a pretty good deal. We made money, and in the end, we were able to do this transaction completely virtual in a market that we know nothing about. So there you have it, a deal from beginning to end. This is the example of your typical nationwide type of deal. The lead came in from Facebook. We're paying about $20 per lead right now for leads on Facebook when we're doing it like this nationally. The buyer came from Propelio, which if you use my link in the description, you'll get a 14-day free trial. And again, we had no buyers in that area from the very beginning. We had no idea of anything about that market. And just by using Zillow and our cash buyer tool, we were able to go ahead and get this deal done, which means that you can do it too. I have to say that this is Tony on my team is the one that did the entire deal from beginning to end. He's never done a deal before. This was his first deal. Congratulations to Tony. Tony can do it. So can you. If you're interested in getting more information about how to do this, and I got another video that will go into greater detail, click on the link in the description there to the training, and then that way I can show you more and then see if you might just be interested in doing the same thing for yourself. If you want to know more about how we use Facebook ads to find motivated sellers, click on any one of these videos that'll pop up here, and then you'll also get some additional training on that as well.